Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dumb and Dumbest podcast, where today I've adopted much more of an NPR personality because this is a music industry podcast where everything is terrible and the house is on fire. I'm here with my radiant, glorious, balding co-host, Curtis Dewar of dewarpr.
Well, hello.
I'm Matt Bacon,
I'm Curtis Stewart.
and this is Dumb and Dumbest. So Curtis, today we're talking about...
Music history, apparently. Knowing your music history.
Wait, are we abandoning the NPR bit?
I am. I gotta be honest, dude. I'm coming down with like a cold, so my ability to talk in a very smooth voice is very limited right now. But we are talking about our music history today.
Yes.
Which we all know started with Stryper back in 1984.
Sure.
Yeah. See. Well, 1982 if you count the Rocks Regime demos. Maybe that's 1983. But anyway, so we all know that's where music started. So.
Sure. So, I have a lot of strong opinions about this, but Curtis, how about you start? Why do you think it's important for artists to have a deep understanding of their history, of their ancestry even?
Well, it's good. I mean, obviously, it's not necessity, but it's valuable if you do, because then you kind of know what came before, and you can it's kind of like, it'd be like anybody who is learning their craft in anything. You have to kind of know what came before in order to really understand what's to do next and what's happening today. You know what I mean? It's like you can't really know what to do unless you know what's already happened before, I guess is kind of what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
How would you feel about it?
I think that, well, here's my view, because I managed an artist once who was pretty well known, got a lot of big interviews, and just wouldn't listen when I told them, like, you can't tell people, like if you're trying to get taken seriously as a metal band, you can't tell people, oh, I'm really into Five Finger Death Punch.
Well, you could, because a lot of these older, like Anthrax does it, but at the same time, they've
but like if you're like trying to be like new and hip in like the Roadburn crowd.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different nowadays. Back when metal was first starting, it was a bit different, but because most of them would be into stuff like that, right? But you're right.
But like I just think you need to be self-aware, and I think, just like at the end of the day, there are cool kid bands who you need to know about if you want to get taken seriously.
And there's a lot of historical ones. Like, one thing that always surprises me is when I find out a metal band musician has never listened to Black Sabbath or doesn't like them. I mean, if they don't like them, fine, but that's personal taste is whatever, right? But
yeah, you're wrong, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, which is surprising because it's basically the foundation. But I mean, you know what I mean, or that they've never heard Deep Purple, or they've never heard Coven, or they've never heard Blue Cheer or Zeppelin or something like that, right? It just seems weird, you know what I mean?
Unnatural. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it almost, like, I don't really want to call him a poser or something, but it's just weird to me that you wouldn't even go seek out like the classics in your genre to go figure out what's already been done before, because those people laid the foundation and they also became successful for a reason, and you should be just studying what they did just for that fact and for nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important. I think it's very important to kind of be aware, like, oh, this is where it comes from. This is why it is the way it is.
I agree. 100%.
You know what I mean? And I think, I think not being aware of why things are the way they are, is putting you at a huge disadvantage as an artist.
Agreed. And you don't have to like them, but you should at least be aware of them. Like, I mean, maybe you don't like Ted Nugent, but you should be familiar with some of his early work. You should.
Yeah. Just because he's a formative artist. Like, I don't like Ted Nugent, probably more because of his political opinions than anything else, if I'm being honest.
His early stuff was great, in my opinion, but hey, whatever.
Sure. But I think that for a younger person like me, it's very, very hard to divorce Ted Nugent from some of his political opinions.
You might be right, but you should still check out his early work.
No, yeah, but again, Amboy Dukes is something you need to listen to.
Yeah, same with Kiss is another one. Yeah, they're not really metal per se, but they basically started, like, I mean, without them, there'd be no Marilyn Manson, there'd be no Slipknot, there'd be no there'd be no like tons of bands, right? So Anthrax wouldn't exist. You know, there's so many bands that just took a direct musical influence from Kiss, right?
Absolutely.
And you
And
should at
again, it's
least
like,
listen to their early stuff.
yeah, and it's just a question of having some awareness of what Kiss is, what they did for music, how deeply they impacted music.
Yeah, and they also impacted merchandising for bands as well.
Yeah,
And
because
marketing.
the thing is, like, despite what you might think, you're going to get caught and called out if you don't know these things.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And furthermore, there's so much good music out there. Like I was just turning on this podcast. I was just listening to Josh White, who's like an OG fucking blues artist.
Yeah.
And like, he has a really cool story. Like he was friends with Franklin Roosevelt, et cetera, et cetera. But like the amount of cred I get because I can talk intelligently about Josh White when there's very few other 22-year-olds doing that. And that's not me trying to suck my own dick. That's just, there's not a lot of 22-year-olds who are self-identifying as Josh White fans.
Yeah, I don't even know who the guy is, so.
But like,
I'm caught up.
You don't think that helps? That doesn't help my career?
I'm sure it does.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to say with this episode is like, knowing these things is only going to make people be like, oh, that guy knows some shit. You know what I mean? Like, you just want people to be aware that you have a respect for the history. And, I think that if you can show people like, oh yeah, I fucking know like all my James Johnson and all my like weird, 20s jazz and Charleston stuff, like, not only does that make for better music because you're coming from a more educated place, but also it means like, yeah, people, like the music nerds. And remember, music journalists are just music nerds. Those people are going to be way more into sucking your dick and way more into helping you out. If you get to talk to them about like, I don't know, Bo Bixby or something. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Like I don't think people understand the extent to which I would just like to talk to people about Bo Bixby. Like,
well, all right.
Like that is what I'm into, or like the West Lawn Band. Like, again, you have to realize who you're catering to. You're catering to music journalists who are nerds, and that's okay, but like, if you make them feel like, oh, well, this is like a normal thing to know about the West Lawn Band, it definitely isn't.
Yep.
Like, at least you're setting you're positioning yourself so that people are going to want to check you out, and again, like, if you can be the artist who's like introducing people to cool shit, that's a good look for you.
Yeah, and the other thing too is it's a bit weird, at least in my opinion, maybe it's just a bit older, when I get a client who doesn't know anything earlier than like, 2001 or something, or 99, right? And I'm like, really? Slipknot. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's a matter of the historical perspective, and it's like, there is, I think I'm definitely informed by this. I don't know as much for you, Curtis. I don't get this vibe as much, but like, I very much would like to be a part of the history of heavy music.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when we did that Exhorter thing, that was taking an active role in the history of heavy music.
I agree 100%.
And that's really important to me.
I agree.
For a variety of reasons.
I agree.
And like, the more that I get to be a part of that, the more I am happy.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, point being, like, knowing your history is only going to help you. It's only going to make people think you're interesting. Just think about it this way. Okay. Which is like, you're reading an interview with, I don't fucking, Scotty Ian. Okay.
Yeah.
Why not? What's
sure.
more interesting? or okay, no, how about this? You're reading an interview with Scotty Ian and you're reading versus an interview with Rob Flynn. Like similarly big musicians,
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. Okay. Which is going to be more interesting to you? And I don't know if they're into these bands, so just, just bear with me. So if Scotty Ian
into pretty
talks about like
stuff.
some really deep Kiss dorkery,
He does.
like if he talks about like some weird kid, like Wicked Lester demo or something.
Yeah.
Versus Rob Flynn talking about Marilyn Manson. Like, and that's not to shit on Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson's a very great, very important artist.
I was just going to say that. Holy shit, dude.
But like, think about it. Which is more interesting to you?
Well, I would say him doing the dorkery. Now, one thing I also want to point out about Scott is he also talks a lot about very mainstream bands, and I really appreciate that because it's kind of neat to see a metal guy that's constantly talking about things like Fall Out Boy.
Oh, absolutely.
Well. So I actually appreciate that as well at the same time. But he good balances between the dorkery, like you said, with the old Wicked Lester demos, and then he'll be talking about Fall Out Boy in the next sentence, right?
Yeah, but the thing is too, like I think there's also a lot more value than people care to admit with knowing a lot about pop music.
Oh, I agree. I mean, when I started checking out more into it in the last year, I mean, there's a lot of knowledge there. There's a lot of stuff that's very useful, even if you don't necessarily like all the songs or whatever that you hear, right?
Yeah, but also just like, like I think that, like, if you wanted to sign to Prophecy USA and you wanted to like bond with one of us, like you're much more likely to get in if you were talking to us about like ABBA than if you were talking to us about I don't know, like Dordenreich or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and that's by no means meant to be like an authoritative statement, but like, yeah, like we're just fucking nerds.
Well, it also shows that you're more versatile if and not just stuck in one thing if you're talking about more than one genre, in my opinion, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's very important too, is like being aware of the huge variety of music out there, because so many people are so boringly limited, and that's just not interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you can go through spurts and just have stuff that you just want to listen to mainly, but at the same time, you should try to broaden your horizons and look at the historical, even contemporary stuff, right?
Yeah, and and again, like people who like want to shit on like Nicki Minaj, like don't fucking get it.
Yeah, there's no point. I mean, like, yeah, I agree. I used to, but then, I mean, I gotta be honest, I used to shit on all the non-metal stuff too. But within the last year, I mean, just because I've been more in the industry for a while, you have to kind of start looking out and see what other people are doing in order to get to that next level. You know what I mean? Especially with bands, because if they can see what a pop group or whatever is doing that's getting them more likes or more fans or whatever, and what blogs are covering them, you can kind of get an idea of what you should be doing as well, even without selling out, obviously, right?
Yeah, and and obviously there's like a trick to it, and you've got to be smart and not an asshole. But yeah, like these things matter, and knowing about the history of music and knowing about what made the Beatles important, because like again, every single person you're dealing with is going to be a music nerd.
Yeah, and all the people that you tell the Beatles suck are going to most people are going to look at you and be like, really?
I don't particularly enjoy the Beatles, but I've
their
learned
influence is so huge. Like you can hear elements of heavy metal in their music back in like 1968 or whatever year the White Album came out. I mean, half that album probably has metal in it. You know what I mean? Well, maybe not half, but probably a quarter of it maybe.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I try not to be as much of an asshole about the Beatles as I used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be as well, but I mean, once I actually checked them out, and I was like, oh wow, there's actually a big history here, and a lot of music is actually really influenced by what they did, even if you don't like it necessarily, right?
Yeah,
it's the same thing with Zeppelin. I'm not a Zeppelin fan. I think they're boring, personally.
Wow. Okay.
I don't mind them, but I mean, I'm not a big fan of Zeppelin, right? But I can totally see their influence on basically all the '80s metal, a lot Guns N' Roses. I mean, there's so much of an influence there. It's unbelievable, right? And they definitely deserve their place in history that they have. Am I a fan? Not well. I mean, sort of, but not really. You know what I mean? But I can see it, right?
Yeah, and I think as long as you have that sort of baseline awareness, people are going to respect that and fuck with you, you know.
I agree.
But you need to show you merit, you merit, like, if like a lot of your getting respected is going to come with the old heads thinking you're cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do you make the old heads think you're cool? By knowing a lot about Kiss.
Yeah.
Like, straight up.
Yeah, or knowing a lot about, like, if you just don't want to talk about Kiss, you could even go with Morbid Angel or something like that, which at least goes back to like 88 or 89.
Yeah.
Or 87 or whatever.
Like, you need to know about these things. And I know that sounds lame and that you don't want to talk to some old men, but guess what? Those guys have been doing it for 30 fucking years and you haven't. So,
and just to point out just one thing on Morbid Angel, if anybody thinks that's just an old person band, which maybe they are nowadays, but they're the only metal band to my awareness that have ever, or not metal, death metal band to ever sell over 100,000 copies and be on a major label.
yeah.
Oh no, Obituary did too, but I think Morbid Angel did more. But still, I mean, like, nobody's done that since. So I mean, that would, like, Covenant would be an album that you'd want to study if you ever want to get into death metal.
Yeah, like it's essential.
It is
Obligatory listening for anyone trying to understand that entire art form.
Yeah, because no one's ever done that since, and then, I mean, it was like a one-time thing. Maybe they fluked out. I don't know, but that is definitely an album that anybody that's looking to get into extreme metal should study, just for nothing else than the fact that it sold more than pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just sort of the basic point we're trying to make, is that know your shit. People will notice if you're able to talk, if you're able to have an intelligent conversation about death or not. Like, that matters a lot more than you think.
Oops, I was never really into death, but I can talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, but I was pulling them out of my ass. Like simultaneously, and this is important, is no one expects you to know everything always.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not, like, I'm not saying, like, break up with your girlfriend and go become the fucking, all-knowing metal guru.
Yeah.
Like,
but you just need to be aware, is what we're saying. Be aware. Like, I could talk intelligently about death because I've heard enough of them to be able to comment on them, but I was never like a geek on them, right? So.
Yeah, sure, but but it, like, just have that awareness that people are gonna want to talk to you about death at some point, and you can either know about death, or you can get branded as that weird guy who doesn't care about death,
or Sepultura, or whoever it is.
Yeah, and, like, again, you're totally allowed to have bands you don't care about. Like, I don't really care that much about Sepultura.
Well, they got about 3 perfect albums in my opinion, but other than that.
But, like, at the end of it, but I know about Sepultura, and the fact that I don't really fuck with Sepultura is made up for the fact that I have 8,000 other, legitimate bits and bobs.
Just as a side tangent with Sepultura, people should know about Sepultura, because without them, new metal would never have existed. Well, them and Korn, rather, but still.
Yeah. I also toured with Max Cavalera's adopted son.
Ooh, did you? Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Richie? He's a homie.
Yeah, I know who it is. But I don't know him, obviously, but yeah. Matt toured with him. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I don't know what that was supposed to be nudging or winking at.
Oh, okay.
But, we got along.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Matt is now like the Guru King because he toured with the son of Sepultura's founder, frontman. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm going delirious right now, I think.
The Guru King? Okay.
I don't know, Matt. I'm starting to feel the fever's starting to kick in. I'm starting to feel a little bit out of it. So
okay, well, before we completely check out and you become too ill to properly pod, what do you have to plug?
I got a few things to plug. Are we putting? You're able to put the link to my thing in the show notes, right?
Yeah, just text me a reminder tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
So talk about.
Just want to. Okay, so basically, I wrote a guide on how to optimize your social media profile. It kicks ass. It's really
it does
good.
Kick ass.
It's really simple. It's
fire.
Really basic, but at the same time, if you do this, you will get your social media profile will be about 100 times better. So check it out. You will be added to my email list at the end of it. I haven't figured out what I'm going to be sending to my email list, but you will be added to it. It kicks ass, and I plan on doing another guide in the next week or two. So be on the list, and you can download that one later too. That's it.
There you go.
Oh, wait, one more thing. Riff Lord just released a video with the Obelisk. The link came in as we were speaking on the podcast. So go check that out. It's an awesome band. And the
A very
video's
awesome band
with
our friends over at STB Records.
That's right. Anyways, it kicks ass. Go check it out. And then Ambassador should be releasing a video later today at 5 p.m. over at puregrainaudio.com. So check both those videos out today. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. And then I have a couple big announcements stewing.
Good.
But what I will say, I think I did for yesterday's episode too, is I have a bunch of ebooks that I'm going to link you guys to because I think you're going to get a lot of value from them.
Knowledge.
The more you learn, the more you earn.
Yeah.
I bet I could just go out as like a Gary Vee impersonator.
I was trying to be more like a Ty Lopez impersonator for that one myself, but
that could be like our shtick. We could be like the Abbott and Costello of marketing.
We could be the Ty Lopez and Frank Kern of heavy metal.
I thought that was okay.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway, point being, thank you guys for listening. This has been Dumb and Dumbest.
Are we done yet?